What do you think? School choice is the way to do this?
I thought we were supposed to be getting softball questions.
Yeah, it's a tough audience.
I've never made it a secret that I oppose vouchers. I oppose privatization of our public school system in any form. And let me just say this. We left the 82nd legislature left the public school system in a $5.4 billion hole. And I want to make sure that's billion with a B, okay? And right now, the Senate is planning to return about $2 billion of that 5.4. So we're still in the hole quite a bit. And now we're talking about pushing more money out of that system. I don't know how that's going to work. Like I said, we pushed out that chart showing the per student spending across the state, the average student spending that we're doing right now, and we're actually lower than where we were in the beginning. If you account for inflation, if you can account for enrollment, we're actually spending about $1,000 less than we did in 2004. And now we're going to say we're going to push more money out of it. Well, and Senator, with all due respect, you're talking about, let's give them a $5,000 voucher or whatever you want to call it. Let's go nuts. Let's make it a $7,000 voucher.
No, you can say 5.
It's 5.
In my area, I have many private schools. Average tuition starts around 13. The higher end is around 15 to 17. I don't know if any of those schools who are willing to give several dozen or maybe even 100 kids a $7,000 scholarship, a $5,000 scholarship every single year. I'm not sure there's many of those schools, private schools in my area, that are willing to take my kids who come from limited English proficiency homes, that come from neighborhoods infested with gangs, that come from situations where they don't eat at night. I don't know who's willing to take those kids. The private schools, I'm sure, would love to take the cream of the crop, because that's who they have right now. They would love that.
Okay, so
what about the rest of our kids? What about everyone else? What about the rural areas that don't have a single private school within 200 miles? They get their funding slashed, but what do they benefit out of it? Mm-hmm. And with all due respect, with this concept of giving companies a tax break, it is not a tax break, it is an additional tax break. Because if a company right now wants to provide a scholarship for a student, they can provide it. And guess what? They will get a federal tax credit for it. And then you're going to say, well, we'll double that. We'll give you a state tax credit on top of that. Who gets a double tax break on one donation? I don't.
So you guys are straining at your leashes here.
Well, no, and I appreciate what Representative, I appreciate that. But there's a couple things that you said, which is the problem. Number one, you said, what private school is going to take these kids? That's the problem. You have kids who are in gang-infested neighborhoods. You have kids who come from single mother, grandmother, poverty-stricken homes. You do it. That's a reality. Yep. But to say what school is going to take these kids, to me, that's a fundamental problem.
No,
hold on, Gene.
What private schools?
Private school. Personally, I have a nephew who came from one of those homes that I'm raising to this day that goes to a private Christian school. They took him. You know why? Because that's the best environment for him. Those kids, you say the private schools have the cream of the crop kids. That's the problem. We don't want just the cream of the crop kids. There's kids that come from these neighborhoods. There's kids like me, little Scotty Turners, that come from these broken homes that have the mental capacity to change the world. And anything we can do to give them that opportunity to fulfill that capacity or to fulfill that purpose for which they've been called, then that's what we need to do. That's our job. This is Texas. Listen, just because we throw money at a system doesn't mean it's going to work. We have a bid. Let's say our business is a $100 million business. But 10 million parts of that business, you know what, we're losing. We're not gonna just keep shoveling money to parts of that business and say, hey, if we put more money in development, if we put more money in marketing, then maybe it'll work. That's not the case.
Would you agree to, either this bill comes out of floor, would you agree to an amendment that says that if a private school takes this money, they may not reject anyone for any reason, and they may not charge more than what the voucher has, what the voucher provides?
Absolutely not.
No.
But Jay, and the other thing is, the average cost of elementary, this is the average, just the average tuition of private school elementary is between $5,000 and $6,000. So the private
schools are you going to?
You can go to the southern sector of
Let me jump in here. I
think
think this conversation could go for 10 weeks.
No, we good. And thank you.
And Mike, let me squeeze in one more audience.
Sorry, Don. You go ahead.
Let me just, I'm not going to get into anything.
quick. I want one
First
more
of
audience
all,
question.
what is forgotten is that it's not, there is more, if you will, loss from a school if a child transfers to another state. Okay? With this, a parent has a choice. The child comes out of that school. There's still, the INS dollars are left at the school without a child, number one. Number two, there are many schools out there that will take 5,000, that the tuition may be 5,000. If it's a little more, maybe the parent doesn't have 8,000 to pay, but 5,000 helps and they can scrape up 3. The point is to just make a blanket statement, they don't have the dollars. I think that's part of the roadblock people hear about it. But rather than schools picking cream of the crop, why can't parents take their cream of the crop, their child, and pick the cream of the crop school? We're giving them opportunity. And if they're in the rural and they can't go, they're not going to go.
Okay.